My fair friends, come gather round. It's time to praise the holly. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it, and oh, it's called the galandan. Oh, fighty lady lum lum, doodle doodle dee, diddy lum lum lum, delami. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it. Oh, it's called the galandan. Oh, nothing else it can compare. No other trees so fancy, no mansion tall or castle grand as lovely as a holly. Oh, fighty lady lum lum, doodle doodle dee, diddy lum lum lum, delani. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it. Oh, it's called the holly. Oh, whether there be rain or snow, I will still be jolly. No matter what this weather brings, it won't disturb a holly. Oh, fighty lady lum lum, doodle doodle dee, diddy lum lum lum, delani. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it. Oh, it's called the holly. The little sparrow makes his nest with the blackbird in the branches, and my love is just sitting there in the shadow of a holly. Fighty lady lum lum, toodle doodle dee, diddy lum lum lum, delani. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it. Oh, it's called the holly. Oh, my fair friends, come gather round. It's time to praise the holly. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it. Oh, it's called the galandan. Oh, fighty lady lum lum, toodle doodle dee, diddy lum lum lum, delani. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it. Oh, it's called the holly. Thank you. Am I too loud? Oh, too loud for me. So, here we are in December already. I don't know about you, but I can't believe it's December. And I haven't even put up my Thanksgiving things yet. Suddenly, oh, okay, I don't feel so bad. This is the first time ever. And it's just been a little busy. And so I'm looking forward to getting ready for the holidays and decorating. And here we are. And talking about that, I should talk about some of the, I'm sure you all have your own traditions, but there have been a lot of traditions over the generations, and especially in Wales, where there's, just like every other, Celtic country, they had their own little niches of what they would do. But there was also things that would happen just because of the lifestyle and the working, such as in the farms. Maybe in northern Wales more so, or in western Wales. They would get together, and as soon as it would start to get dark, they would have knitting nights. The men would have knitting contests. I'm not just talking about the grandmothers. And they would get together and they would peel rushes. If they hadn't gotten them ready for the winter to make the candles with, they would start to do that. But they also would have storytelling, they would have spinning, yarn, just evening gatherings of telling stories, because I don't have to tell you how much a Welsh person can tell a story. I have lots of stories in my family. My grandmother had me believing that apple trees grew in your stomach, that every bird that sat at your window was somebody that was related to me once. Or was ready to tell me something. Not just knock on wood, which of course we always had to knock on wood, but there was a lot of little things that I don't know if you notice, but I once in a while it occurred to me, I'm like, wow, I do that, that's weird. So they would get together and they would have a nos an lawen. They would sing some very popular songs. They would have contests to see who could do the songs, and things like that, just to pass the time. And it would all lead up to the winter solstice, which, I'm just looking for something. They would lead up to the winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year, of course. Is when suddenly the days grow longer. And this year it falls on the 21st of December, around 11:28 in the morning, I believe it is. And it's when you think that the Holly King is winning. It's when the Holly King and the Oak King are battling it out. They're fighting for day and light, darkness in the sun. You think that it would be the Oak King that lost because it doesn't have any leaves, right? It's kind of, you know, but no. The Oak King wins. It's his roots that are growing in the ground. He's becoming reborn again. And that's part of the whole tradition of the winter solstice, especially among the Celts. And so goodbye holly, even though we're just saying for the holly tree. It's the oak tree that has won. So I'm going to do a song about that as soon as I find my cable. My fair friends, come gather round. It's time to praise the holly. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it, and oh, it's called the galannan. Oh, fighty lady lum lum, doodle doodle dee, diddy lum lum lum, delummy. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it. Oh, it's called the galannan. Oh, nothing else it can compare. No other trees so fancy, no mansion tall or castle grand as lovely as a holly. Oh, fighty litty lum lum, doodle doodle dee, diddy lum lum lum, delani. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it. Oh, it's called the holly. Oh, whether there be rain or snow, I will still be jolly, no matter what this weather brings. It won't disturb a holly. Oh, fighty lady lum lum, doodle doodle dee, diddy lum lum lum, delani. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it. Oh, it's called the holly. A little sparrow makes his nest with a blackbird in the branches, and my love is just sitting there in the shadow of a holly. Fighty lady lum lum, toodle doodle dee, diddy lum lum lum, delani. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it. Oh, it's called the holly. Oh, my fair friends, come gather round. It's time to praise the holly. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it. Oh, it's called the galannan. Oh, fighty litty lum lum, toodle doodle dee, diddy lum lum lum, delani. Oh, a bright and worthy tree is it. Oh, it's called the holly. Thank you. Am I too loud? Oh, too loud for me. So, here we are in December already. I don't know about you, but I can't believe it's December. And I haven't even put up my Thanksgiving things yet. Suddenly, oh, okay, I don't feel so bad. This is the first time ever. And it's just been a little busy. And so I'm looking forward to getting ready for the holidays and decorating. And here we are. And talking about that, I should talk about some of the, I'm sure you all have your own traditions, but there have been a lot of traditions over the generations, and especially in Wales, where there's, just like every other, Celtic country, they had their own little niches of what they would do. But there was also things that would happen just because of the lifestyle and the working, such as in the farms. Maybe in northern Wales more so, or in western Wales, they would get together, and as soon as it would start to get dark, they would have knitting nights. The men would have knitting contests. I'm not just talking about the grandmothers. And they would get together and they would peel rushes. If they hadn't gotten them ready for the winter to make the candles with, they would start to do that. But they also would have storytelling, they would have spinning, yarn, just evening gatherings of telling stories, because I don't have to tell you how much a Welsh person can tell a story. I have lots of stories in my family. My grandmother had me believing that apple trees grew in your stomach, that every bird that sat at your window was somebody that was related to me once. Or was ready to tell me something. Not just knock on wood, which of course we always had to knock on wood, but there was a lot of little things that I don't know if you noticed, but I once in a while it occurred to me, I'm like, wow, I do that, that's weird. So they would get together and they would have a nos an lawan. They would sing some very popular songs. They would have contests to see who could do the songs and things like that, just to pass the time. And it would all lead up to the winter solstice, which, I'm just looking for something. They would lead up to the winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year, of course. Is when suddenly the days grow longer. And this year it falls on the 21st of December, around 11:28 in the morning, I believe it is. And it's when you think that the Holly King is winning. It's when the Holly King and the Oak King are battling it out. They're fighting for day and light, darkness in the sun. You think that it would be the Oak King that lost because it doesn't have any leaves, right? It's kind of, you know, but no. The Oak King wins. It's his roots that are growing in the ground. He's becoming reborn again. And that's part of the whole tradition of the winter solstice, especially among the Celts. And so goodbye holly, even though we just sang for the holly tree. It's the oak tree that has won, so I'm going to do a song about that as soon as I find my cable. Oh, all around this winter's town, the wind does blow, the wind does sound. Here beneath the bearded sky, the old man, he does smile. The old man, he does smile. Oh, Cascadiv am Lenten Trus, Cascadiv am Lenten Trus, Cascadiv am Lenten Trus, que cascitan abore, que cascitan abore. Oh, once, twice born, we're on our way. The days grow tall, the night wears away. And here I hold the flower maid, as if my own heart beating, as if my own heart beating. Oh, Cascadiv am Lenten Trus, Cascadiv am Lenten Trus, Cascadiv am Lenten Trus, que cascitan abore, que cascitan abore. Oh, the Oak King and the Holly King, once again they're battling. The victor will restore the spring, but I still hear the wind whistling. Oh, I hear the wind whistling. Cascati from Linton Clues, che cascitana bora. Vom Lenten Klus, Cascadi vom Lenten Klus, che cascitana bora, che cascitan abora. I should mention that the Welsh words, which are on that paper you have, are basically go to sleep, my pretty child, sleep till the morning. I don't think it means sleep till the morning because I'm desperate for the child to sleep, but just sleep peacefully till the morning. And that's kind of what happens, I think, on the solstice, you know. And soon, right around that same time, there was a day called Thomasing Day. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it was named after St. Thomas. I think it's been moved to the summertime now. I don't know why. Maybe because what the women used to do in Wales, they would often go door to door asking for flour. They would want corn or wheat, and they would share with each other. You know, they would borrow a cup of flour. And it was on that day that you were actually allowed to knock on someone's door and ask for, please, can you give me some flour? But they knocked on your door too, so it was just a nice kind of giving type of thing. But it's been changed for the summertime by the church, so I'm not sure why. But this is what they would use to start to make the holiday breads. Because there weren't holiday breads often, you know, this was special. This had raisins, this had nuts in it that you couldn't always get. This maybe had some citrus or some candied something inside the breads. They were treasured because you didn't have money often to have these things. So that's Thomasing Day. And today we don't bring the plow under the table on Christmas Eve anymore. My husband would if he could. He'd like to bring the plow under the table, but no. But it was a sign of good luck. You know, you did that because that meant your harvest would be good for the following year. And you would have a better plenty for Christmas. So you brought that plow under the table. And that's when you would light the Yule log. And you would keep it smothering and smothering and going because you would try to keep it going for a long time. That was a new tradition, you know, at the solstice, when the birth of light, you would light your Yule log and you would do the same thing, which is very important. And it was also when they started singing Christmas songs. Some of them are ones that, you know, of course we all know, and there are other ones. But I'm going to sing the oldest one, and I'm sure you're familiar with that. God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's power when we had gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy from God our heavenly Heavenly Father, a blessed angel came, and unto certain shepherds brought tidings of the same, how that in Bethlehem was born the Son of God by name. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. Now to the Lord sing praises, all you within this place, and with true love and brotherhood, each other now embrace this holy tide of Christmas, all others dust efface. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. Thank you. So the next song is actually a Cornish song, but of course, you know, the Cornish language and the Welsh language had a lot in common. They're sisters languages. And even though I'm going to be doing this one in English, it was a very popular song. It was collected in Penzance, I believe, and there's a wax cylinder of it that was collected in the early 1900s. And I'm going to sing it now. It's called The Holly She Bears a Berry. Oh, the holly she bears a berry, as white as the milk. And Mary she bore Jesus, who's wrapped up in silk. And Mary she bore Jesus, our Savior for to be. And the first tree that's in the greenwood, it was the holly, holly, holly. The first tree that's in the greenwood, it was the holly. Now the holly, she bears a berry as green as the grass. And Mary, she bore Jesus, who died on the cross. And Mary, she bore Jesus, our Savior for to be. And the first tree that's in the greenwood, it was the holly, oh, holly, holly. The first tree that's in the greenwood, it was the holly. Oh, now the holly, she bears a berry as black as the coal. And Mary, she bore Jesus, who died for us all. And Mary, she bore Jesus, our Savior for to be. And the first tree that's in the greenwood, it was the holly, oh, holly, holly. The first tree that's in the greenwood, it was the holly, oh. The berry, she bears a berry, as blood it is red. And we trust in our Savior, He rose from the dead. And Mary, she bore Jesus, our Savior for to be. And the first tree that's in the greenwood, it was the holly, oh, holly, holly. The first tree that's in the greenwood, it was the holly. So again, I just want to mention, if you're familiar with any of these songs, do not be shy. You can't be any more shy than me. I'm serious. I'm just obsessed with the songs. So neighbors would get together on Christmas Eve, and there were some, you know, some pretty normal things, like getting together and pulling toffee, and making your fancy breads with the other women. But also later in the day, especially on Christmas Eve, you would get together, and if you were fortunate enough to have a farm, or to have relatives that had a farm, you would visit them, and you would do a procession to the barn. Well, basically, first you would make wassail, and it would be like a mulled beer with cloves and cinnamon and nutmeg and ginger. And sometimes you would have a fancy bowl. It could have a lot of handles. I think on the paper on the back I put this gold-looking thing. I don't know how many handles that has, but some of them had like 18 handles. So like all your family could stand around and drink the wassail together, which means good health. And it was actually a Germanic custom that's been done throughout Europe, and of course it's done throughout the UK and Britain and Scandinavia and all of that area. They would have their own little recipes. And so now you would have this procession, and you would be carrying this big bowl of wassail if you hadn't drank half of it already. And the woman of the house would have a bowl of a cake, a special Christmas cake that maybe was soaked in rum or something. And you would have it in a basket, and they would bring it into the barn, and they would put it on the ox's head between the horns. And the men would be on one side, and the women would be on the other. And this is true. I read this in a book.
Only in America.
Yes. No, but I got the book is from Wales.
Oh, wow, man.
Yes. And so, actually, it's one of my favorite books. And so the men on one side, the women on the other, and then they would wait for the ox to wiggle. And I don't know if anybody gives it a push, but whatever side the basket falls to, like say it falls on the men's side, they get to rule the roost for a year. What they say goes. If it goes on the woman's side, she does the other. And so there were lots of these things, you know. There was like, if you were fortunate enough to have a father who was a blacksmith or did some kind of metalworking, you would take a piece of smelted lead and you would put it in water. And whatever that little bit of lead forms is like your true love's occupation. You know, so like if you see this, like, I don't know, think it's a hammer, you know, he's a carpenter. I'm going to marry a carpenter, you know. Oh, I see a boot, I'm going to marry a shoemaker. This is true. This is like putting things under your pillow so that you dream good, which I think works perfectly.
Okay.
But now you're in the barn, and it's approaching midnight, and you got to get out of that barn, because at midnight is when all the animals talk, and it's like the only time they ever talk, and it's bad luck if you're there to hear them. So you have to hurry out before midnight, because they're going to kneel down just like at the manger, and they're going to have a conversation, and maybe they'll sing a couple of songs that week. Maybe they sing this one. I wish I had brought the words. Good people, this Christmas time, consider well and bear in mind what our good God for us has done in sending His beloved Son. With Mary holy we should pray to God above this Christmas day. For in Bethlehem upon that morn there was a blessed baby born. This is the Wexford Carol. I should have announced it. in Bethlehem, where shepherds keep their flocks of lambs and feeding sheep, to whom God's angels did appear, which put the shepherds in great fear. Arise and go, the angel said, to Bethlehem. Be not afraid, for there you'll find upon that morn a blessed babe, sweet Jesus born. So now it's morning, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and the men are getting up. It's actually Christmas Day, and they're wearing their Christmas white shirt, and their wives have been up before them, probably starting the fires and starting Christmas dinner, while they get all dressed up fancy, and they go to the church. And at the church, it's all lit up with candles, and maybe it's 4 a.m. now. And before the sun comes up, well before the sun comes up, groups of men, the carolers, the plug-in carolers, which means the rooster crow, they would be there to greet Christmas morning. And they would have contests, and they would be groups of them, maybe, I don't know how many, but maybe like 4 to 8 people standing together, and they would just walk up to the altar and they would sing their carol, and then the next one, the next one. It would go on for hours. And that's a big tradition in Wales, how to greet your Christmas Day. Of course, the women, well, I mean, they got to make taffy again, and they got to like eat some more cake. But the women weren't really included then. But it was an important day because a lot of those men were miners. A lot of those men were slave quarry workers. They were working hard. They hardly ever saw the daylight and greeted the day. They left when it was dark, and they came home when it was dark. So for them to be there, I think, was a wonderful thing. And so on this paper, I need your help. On the paper, on the side, there's a column, and it says, Gafar Heather Boren. And it's just a plug-in carol, and I'm going to sing it, and if you happen to know it, please sing along. I have to find the words. We'll see you in a minute. Gafar Heather Boren, Vaban Bach, Angan were graven yesin, Vaban Bach. Hakad on thy tho basra, Hadad Vargentar Seina, Aryangayar Gavarin, Vaban Bach, Anskino Bron Marian, Vaban Bach. Kai will Thorsekiel, Harlan Meyer. Agwil Vasea Daniel, Harlan Meyer. Kai Bachen doith Asea, Roy there with Roy the other. Or Alpha or Omega, Harlan Meyer. Mount Cor Judah, Harlan mine. Thank you. I saw three ships a-sailing, and on Christmas Day, saw three ships a-sailing, and on Christmas Day in the morning. And what was in the ships the three on Christmas Day, what was in the ships the three on Christmas Day in the morning? Our Savior Christ and His Lady on Christmas Day. Our Savior Christ and His Lady on Christmas Day in the morning. Oh, and where they sailed the ships the three on Christmas Day, where they sailed the ships the three on Christmas Day in the morning. They sailed into Bethlehem on Christmas Day, they sailed into Bethlehem on Christmas Day in the morning. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la da 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 da. Oh, and all the angels in earth shall sing Christmas Day, oh boy, all the angels in heaven shall sing on Christmas Day in the morning, and all the souls on earth shall sing on Christmas Day, all the souls on earth shall sing on Christmas Day in the morning. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Oh, let us all rejoice amen on Christmas Day, let us all rejoice amen on Christmas Day in the morning. I saw three ships a-sailing, and on Christmas Day, saw three ships a-sailing, and on Christmas Day in the morning. So now we had a wonderful Christmas. We ate so much, and some people had goose, and some people had duck, and some people had turkey, and some people had lamb, and Brussels sprouts, and cabbage, and potatoes, and they had their orange in their stocking, and you maybe had some coal in your stocking, and maybe you got a present or two that was made for you, hopefully. And the next day is Boxing Day, and Boxing Day was a wonderful day. It was sometimes the only day the servants really had a day that they were treated as upper class or royalty. It was their day off. They didn't have to cook, and sometimes a meal was served to them. And it was also for those that weren't in service, that just, families, mining families and poorer families, maybe in Cardiff by the docks or something like that, they would find boxes that the people would give them. They would have their old clothes collected, the churches would bring them, and it was a wonderful time for those that didn't have. We do the same today a lot. We should do it more, I think. But it's that kind of tradition of giving. But it was also a day that was called Holly Beating Day, and I think I mentioned this when I was here the last time. This was true. Up until the latter part of the 1800s, there was a ritual where, it was a purification ritual, where young boys were allowed to beat girls with holly branches till they bled, because it had something to do with purifying them for the year. We follow these traditions. So this isn't, I'm not making this up.
All the time.
But they could also if you had red hair, you were in trouble. And if you were the last boy to wake up in the house that day, they could go and just attack you. But obviously it was done away with. It was, I was reading about it in an old newspaper. So I was, so we would think. And it's also another day which, the songs are good, but the whole thought of it to me is terrible. St. Stephen's Day. And the wren hunters. Let's hunt the wren, right? Why do we hunt the wren? And they really did hunt the wren. They were just singing. They would go out of the way to catch the little bird. And this is the bird that starts to sing first in the morning and who sings late in the afternoon. And it's a beautiful song, you know. And they would capture this little bird and they would put it in a cage. And they would act like the cage weighed 1,000 pounds and they would go door to door. It's, in Wales, the whole thing of door to door greeting, it was done mostly in Christmas season, New Year's. So they would go door to door with this heavy wren cage about this big, and they would sing songs. But the whole point was they would knock on your door and maybe you would give them something to drink. You know, you had maybe some cider they would like, maybe some cake or candy or an apple, or a penny. And the wren boys in Ireland was very popular. But there were wren boys just about everywhere in Europe. I didn't realize that until recently, even like in Poland and places like that. I mean, it was extended. And so I'm going to sing a song about the... I'm not sure if I put the words there. Maybe on the back?
Yes.
Oh, good. Maybe do the join in here. Oh, we're hunt the wren, says Robin the bobbin. We're hunt the wren, says Richie the robin. We're hunt the wren, says Jack the lad. We're hunt the wren, says everyone. For the wren is the wren, he's the king of all birds. St. Stephen's Day, he's caught in the furs. And although he be little, his honor is great. Oh, good people, come give us a treat. Oh, where, says Robin the bobbin. Where, says Richie the robin. Where, says Jack the lad. Where, says everyone. Oh, in yonder green bush, says Robin the bobbin. In yonder green bush, says Richie the robin. In yonder green bush, says Jack the lad. In yonder green bush, says everyone. Oh, who'll come to dinner, says Robin the bobbin. Who'll come to dinner, says Richie the robin. Oh, who'll come to dinner, says Jack the lad. Oh, who'll come to dinner, says everyone. Oh, the king and the queen, says Robin the bobbin. The king, the queen, says Richie the robin. King and the queen, says Jack the lad. The king and the queen, says everyone. Give his eyes to the blind, says Robin the bobbin. Legs to the lame, says Richie the robin. Pluck to the poor, says Jack the lad. Give the bones to the dog, says everyone. For the wren is the king of all birds. St. Stephen's Day is caught in the furs. Although he be little, his honor is great. Oh, good people, come give us a treat. And of course, the wren is the king because he hopped on the back of an eagle. He cheated, you know, and he flew the highest of all the birds. He was very smart. And so, also at the time is clinics, and I didn't do these too fancy. Usually I used green apples, but these apples here, sometimes the boys would go door to door with these as well, you know, and they would show their fancy apple that they decorated, or orange, and decorated with, sometimes they would stick almonds in it, and this just has a few cloves, and holly, and they would get a penny for it. They would sing a good luck type of song. It was called a good luck visit, and the people in the house would greet you with, hope you have a wonderful year. So, this brings us to, I don't know.
What time is it? I don't even know what.
5 minutes.
Okay, and we better do the Mari Lywd. So this brings us to the Mari Lywd. Mari Lywd is a tradition that is pretty unique, I think, and mine is a sad example. You know, usually what they would do is they would, this is true too, I was doing a lot of reading in old newspapers, especially the old Merthyr paper from like the 1840s to the 1850s, and surprised at how often the Mari Lywd party was mentioned. They were trying to find the source of it. They had contests for people to, if they could figure out why there's a Mari Lywd. And I think once I told Phil this over there, and I told him that, you know, Merthyr, this is in the paper, and they ran contests, he got so into it. He said he was going to help me make this. So a real horse's skull, of course, on Amazon was $800. You can get a wooden carved one starting at like $500. The advantage to those are their mouths do open like they should, because they're supposed to chomp at you. But mine is very sedate, and I didn't put the Christmas balls in its eyes because I didn't unpack my Christmas stuff yet. So there it is. But the reason we think, there's a couple reasons why. One reason could be because Rhiannon was the horse goddess. She was the one that, when Bush saw her riding, and he tried to follow her when she was on the mound on her white horse. You know, the faster he went, the further she was in front of him. She was a very important character in the Welsh Mabinogion. It could be because of Rhiannon. It could be because of Arianrhod, who was the mother of, let's see, whose mom was she? Lle, I think it was, in the Mabinogion in Book 4. Arianrhod is like Epona, the nightmare. I shouldn't say that, but it could be because of that. Or it could be because Mary, just before she had Jesus, rode on a donkey. And some countries use a donkey's head. And it just happens in Wales they use a horse's head, probably because they maybe didn't have donkeys, yes, I think. So we're not sure why. But the Mari Lywd is the grey mare, the white mare, the grey mare. And it was pretty much a lively tradition that went on and on and on. It was banned. There was trouble involved because what would happen is, again, my husband had this on the other night. I have it, it's wrapped around a pole, so its head is like this, but you can actually put this on. But he was very hot. It was very warm. They would go door to door, like a Punch and Judy show. You know, someone would be the cop. Someone would be a woman with a broom. It was men, all men. And they would go door to door and sing a rhyme outside the door, and on the other side, the people receiving them would sing another rhyme as to why they shouldn't come in their house. They knew better, because once they got in the house, the Mari Lywd was going to run around, chase everybody. The guy was going to hit them with a broom, and they were so drunk because they had stopped at maybe 5 or 6 houses previously and other places, and at each of these houses they would get something to drink, maybe eat, but mostly drink. And then they would go to, after they destroy your home, they go to the next one, okay? So there were some fires involved because, of course, there would be, you know, fireplaces going and brooms and things happening, so, and lanterns. But it was actually a pretty prominent custom in South Wales, especially. Glamorgan was very big for it. So, on this back of this paper, before its time, or time is up, which is probably up now, there's a song. And if you'd like to sing along, the first 2 verses are done by the Mari. She's singing, let me in, I'm cold. And the people who are singing behind her, no, we're not ready for you yet, because they know. But if it was in Welsh, the rhymes would be much more involved, much more wit involved, you know, having to outwit each other. And whoever would lose, you know, whether Mari loses, she can't come in. If the people behind the door lose, she gets to go in. So this will give you some sort of sense of what the Mari Lywd is. Wel, dyma ni'n dewad, gyfeithiant ni wad, I ofan am gynnar I ofan, am gynnar I ofan, am gynnar I gani. Well, here we are coming, your good friends were harmless, asking to be let in, asking to be let in, asking to be let in this evening. Now, I don't know if one side of you, I'm sorry, we were going to do one side of the room could be the Mari, and the other side could be the people on the other side of the door. How about that? So if you'd like, if you want to be, what's this side, maybe be the people behind the door, which is the third verse. Oh, what is the fussing with knocking and tramping? What are your wishes then? What are your wishes then? What are your wishes for the evening? This side. Oh, the Mari, great Mari, her tail is behind her. She is here, sharing joy, she is here, sharing joy, she is here, sharing joy this evening. Oh, if only the Mari, she promised to be good, no fussing, no biting, no biting, no fussing, no fighting, just to sing this evening. Phil, why don't you get the Mari Lywd?
Stay.
That's him. Oh, the Mari, she promised to be good, no fussing, no biting, no biting, no fussing, no fighting, just to sing this evening. Well, we are still busy, we're baking and stirring, preparing you the cake, preparing it in haste, preparing the way for the Mari. But the Mari, she's fading, her feet, they are freezing from waiting by your door, for waiting forevermore. Oh, good friends, let us in this evening. Oh, welcome the Mari, the cake it is ready. We shall sing, we shall dance, we shall sing in merriment. Oh, good friends, welcome in the Mari. Oh, now we are leaving, our heads pointing downward. Only God knows how far we can go. Oh, how far, only God knows how far this evening. Thank you, Christina. Thank you very much. Have a happy Christmas.